Hi everyone and welcome to the part 2 of the video which will explain the carriage of livestock on ships. I hope you have seen part 1. If not, then the link to the video is in the description section below. In today's video, this is the part 2 and the last part of the series of videos on the carriage of livestock, which will detail the other and essential aspects of cargo operations on such type of ships. We start with handling, transport and tally. Livestock should not be moved unless they are sick and are being shifted to a better ventilated space or to a quarantine pen. Livestock fittings should have rounded corners with no sharp points. The animals should be protected while turning corners and protected from slipping on wet decks. Stockmen and loaders should not manhandle animals. Kicking, grasping by the wool, hitting with sticks, or the use of electric prods should be prohibited. The ship's officers are responsible for maintaining a tally of the animals loaded. With sheep, especially, this is a problem as it puts one to sleep. Sheep follow the leader at one time. There is a bunch of them going rushing through the ramp, while at other times they have to be pushed and coerced into moving. A trained sheep is often kept on board to draw these animals up the ramp and into the ship. Lighting. Livestock get restless and agitated in the dark, and so all parts of the ship where livestock are carried and all routes and alleyways in or leading to or from these parts are to be provided with illumination of at least 20 lux, which is to be kept on throughout the night. Lighting which interferes with safe navigation of the vessel shall be capable of being switched off from the bridge. Lights provided as described shall be waterproof and sighted out of reach of the livestock to prevent damage. Emergency lighting shall be provided in enclosed spaces which shall automatically activate on failure of the main systems. The emergency system shall provide illumination of at least 8 lux for a period of at least 15 minutes. Emergency hand lamps may be provided in lieu of the emergency lighting system. Fodder tanks and silos are to be provided with explosion-proof lamps controlled from the bridge or fodder machinery operation point. Visual indicators showing whether the lights are on or off must also be provided. Every space where livestock is carried shall be fitted with efficient means for cleaning and drainage. Scupperways shall be provided in enclosed spaces to prevent accumulation of fluid. These scupperways shall lead to drainage wells or to scupper pipes which lead overboard. Drainage wells shall be serviced by pumps and piping separate from the engine room bilges. These pumps shall be capable of handling semi-solid matter as well. Drainage wells and scupper pipes shall be accessible from outside the livestock areas for the purpose of inspection and clearing. Discharge of effluent should be in accordance with port and international pollution regulations. Access to the ship is to be by ramps or other suitable means appropriate to the livestock being carried. The ramps shall have a width of 500 mm for sheep and goats and 750 mm for cattle and horses, and they shall be sheathed to a height of 1 meter for sheep and goats and 2 meter for cattle and horses with 25 mm boards spaced not more than 100 mm apart. Foot battens shall be fitted on the floor of the ramps, 25 by 25 mm for sheep and goats and 50 by 50 mm for cattle, spaced 300 mm apart, with the first and the last ones being not more than 200 mm apart from the end of the ramps. The foot battens shall be well rounded on the upper side. The gradient of the ramps shall not be more than 1:2. If you are carrying animals, it's likely that they will be prone to certain diseases as well. Heat exhaustion occurs under conditions of high temperature and humidity. The symptoms are high body temperature, panting, dullness, and collapse. Digestive upsets are visible as a refusal to accept available feed, cessation of feeding, and paunch movements. Metabolic diseases are observed in heavily pregnant females characterized by collapse, depressed body temperature, nervous systems such as grinding of teeth, thrashing of limbs, erratic behavior, and convulsions. Pneumonia symptoms are panting, elevated body temperature, listlessness, and cessation of feeding. Acute bacterial diseases are characterized by a short period of fever which may not be noticed, followed by sudden death. The carcass rapidly bloats and decomposes. Anthrax is one such disease dangerous to human beings in which black tarry blood is exuded from the natural orifices. Protective equipment must be worn when handling affected animals. Bowel infections such as salmonellosis often affect livestock, especially shy feeders in sheep. Severe inflammation of the lower intestine also takes place. Keratitis or pink eye disease caused inflamed eyes and blindness. Hence, certain medicines should also be carried. Some of the medicines are injectable antibiotics such as tetracycline and ampicillin, and the same in ointment for eyes and wounds. You can also carry Epsom salts or compound laxative drench, milk fever solution containing calcium, magnesium and dextrose, and clinical thermometer, hypodermic syringes and needles. The livestock which are dead have to be cut up before dumping or the carcass will bloat and float. Sick or dying animals have to be humanely killed. The method to be used is a solid blow to the head by a blunt instrument such as a large hammer or a captive bolt gun. Next, the throat is cut so that the animal bleeds freely, followed by severing the spinal cord with a knife. Alternatively, a knife is passed into the rectum and the aorta is severed, causing the animal to bleed to death. A last word on the carriage of livestock is if animals are feelings and if treated well, they behave well. Some companies offer a bonus to the ship's crew if the mortality of the animal carried on board is low. Finally, I must also talk about the pens before I go into the stability requirements for livestock carriers. Pens are the area provided for each animal and is calculated on the basis of the species of the animal and its weight. It varies from a minimum of 0.10 square meter for a pig weighing 10 kilograms or less to a maximum of 2 square meters for cattle weighing more than 600 kilograms. The mass of each animal is arrived at by finding out the total mass of all the animals divided by the number of animals, or by finding the mass of a random sample divided by the total number of animals in the sample. The dimensions such as length and breadth of each pen and the passageway between pens is specified by regulation. The number, spacing and strength of rails and stanchions forming the boundaries of the pens are also specified. They have to bear a load in proportion to the area of the pen. The distribution of animals in each pen should bear a close relationship to the area of the pen. Overcrowding is a common cause of death, especially among sheep. If lightening a pen is left too late, sheep often do not recover and die. So do not overcrowd the pens. That is why I have this photograph on your screens right now. Horses are normally provided with individual stalls or boxes fitted with provisions to securely tie each horse. Now let's get into the stability requirements for the livestock carriers. Let's now talk about the livestock carriers stability aspects. In the stability, the angle of heel due to the shift of livestock and fodder should not exceed 12 degrees. When we talk about the GZ curve, which is a determinant of the stability of the vessel, you can see here the GZ on the y-axis is plotted against the angle of heel, which is the normal way of making a GZ curve. And here you can see that the requirement is that the area A plus B, so A you know is here and B is here, area A plus B should not be less than 1.4 times B plus C. Now let's discuss what is this area A, B and C. Area A, B and C is given by the healing moments created due to wind, fodder healing moment and livestock healing moment. Alright, so you can see here that healing lever due to wind, which is the first one, is given by the formula P times A times H divided by displacement. Now what is P? P is the wind pressure taken as 0.042 tons per metric square of acting. A is the projected lateral area of all the exposed areas and surfaces of the ship in square meters. Why is it exposed areas? Because the exposed areas is where the wind will create an effect. We often call it the windage area. Now the area underneath the water, the wind cannot act on it. That is why we only consider the exposed area. What is H? H is the vertical distance between the centroid of the projected lateral area of the ship and the centroid of the ship's underwater lateral area. The vertical distance between the exposed area and the underwater lateral area, the centroid of each. And this may be taken at half draft for most ships. The ship's underwater lateral area is taken as half the draft for most ships. Alright, and you all know what ship's displacement is. It is basically the weight of the ship. Now let's talk about the heeling lever due to the shift of the livestock, which is the second lever here in the GZ diagram, or rather the third lever. Okay, livestock heeling moment. Let's talk about that. So the heeling lever due to shift of livestock is given by the formula mean mass of an animal carried. Mean mass. So you add all the animals and you divide it by the number of animals. So you get the mean mass multiplied by the livestock shift constant. I will tell you what livestock shift constant is. Divided by the floor area required per animal multiplied by again the ship's displacement. Alright, so you know what this means. I've told you, you can pretty much understand what this means. Floor area required per animal, ship's displacement. But what is this livestock shift constant? Livestock shift constant is calculated as the following formula: 1 by 6 multiplied by length of each pen multiplied by the square of the breadth of each pen. Alright, there is a square here, make a note of it. That is how you can calculate the livestock shift constant. And then we have the heeling lever due to the shift of the fodder, which was the second heeling, the lever here in the GZ curve. Alright, so livestock fodder or shift in the livestock fodder is calculated by the formula total shift moment of fodder divided by stowage factor of fodder multiplied by displacement. Alright, so where total shift moment of fodder is the sum of shift moment of each silo or tank, which is given by 0.044 cube pound lb cube, sorry, not pound, lb cube, where L is the length of and breadth of the silo or tank. L is the length and B is the breadth of the silo or tank. Alright, that is the total shift moment of fodder. Stowage factor, you already know what stowage factor is. Displacement, you know what it is. Stowage factor, I'm sure you have seen my videos on stowage factor calculation, cargo work and all that. You know what stowage factor is. It is the volume occupied by a unit of a cargo. So that is the stowage factor. So that is why total shift moment of fodder, I have told you how to calculate that, divided by stowage factor multiplied by ship's displacement. Alright, stowage factor of the fodder will be given to you by the shipper, who will provide the details of the cargo, so you can do that as well. Alright, so this is pretty much it that you have to know about the stability criteria for livestock carriers. I hope the two videos provide enough knowledge for your examinations, whether it's oral or written examinations, when it comes to livestock carrier. Thank you for watching the video, guys, and let me know what you thought about these videos through your feedback and comments.